thank you everybody for joining my session. My name is Bart Plasmeijer. I am a Senior Cloud Infrastructure Architect at Sitecore. And to give that a little bit an introduction here, is that I joined Sitecore after a hackathon together with Valtech. We're there in the States, there in Ottawa. We were invited by Sitecore. Hey, what are you guys doing with containers there with Sitecore? And just like we went into that office there, it was fun. It was a week with Microsoft, Sitecore, and us, and trying to get something deployed. And after that event, I went home, and there was a job opening. They didn't ask me, because that is not allowed. Like Sitecore is not allowed to ask partners for people. And also the other way around, it's not so nice that partners ask you people from Sitecore. But I reached out to the guy from the demo team. And after some interaction with my previous employee, because like going to Sitecore is then you need to have approval from then I joined Sitecore. And I joined the demo team on the technical marketing team. And at that time, I started building with that team a demo portal to spin up for the demo team internally instances that the internal people can use it and also demo it, etc., etc. What is developer experience? I did see a lot of sessions already today and yesterday. I see a lot of things happening. I see people building something. And because I love containers, everywhere will say, oh, Windows containers, oh, they're so big. But there are also Linux containers, right? And the developer experience it's all about the developer experience to you guys, that the experience and making something happening, that it will be easy, right? And that there is no strange things happening, right? And so what is developer experience? That's also a good question. It's like a user experience, right? The user experience is there. It's like functional. It's like usable, that you don't run into any issue, whatever. Well designed. You do something and it doesn't work. Why? And then whatever. Strange command. Self-service. And easy to navigate, right? That is that user. We are building this also for our customers, right? It's like if you build on your website, you want to have an awesome experience, right? What is developer experience? That is user experience, and then with the developer principles, right? There's a whole website about this. A lot of cool things in there. Continuous delivery, following all the principles, doing security scans, hardening, like all kinds of things are in there. And please follow this, right? At Sitecore, this is also fun, developer experience, in our own company. Because you should have also a developer experience inside your organization, right? If you're a small company, 100 people, you should also have an internal developer experience. We as a company, Sitecore, we need to give the developer experience to you. But internally, you should also have that one. We build great tools internally, but we don't sharing it with the community, right? Or like with our partners. Luckily, this is changed because we have now also internally developer experience, external, and we come to build that out. Peter can talk about that more, but we are building that out. We want to have an awesome developer experience to you, right? That is very important. What are we trying to solve? And that's maybe also a good question, right? Spinning up a full XP instance or an XM, you start your project, and the first things that you need to do, you need to set up your environment, you need to deploy it, you need to spend a lot of money for spinning that up, right? And there are a lot of good blog posts, and a lot of people in the community wrote a lot of cool stuff, and people are also picking that up, right? I put that in a gist, and I'm updating that regularly. Like, how do you start with containers? How do you start with Kubernetes? How do you start with how do you make all kinds of implementation? How do you want to deploy Sitecore, right? There is a lot of stuff on there, right? Awesome blog posts, a lot of things. Why did we not do that at Sitecore? Rob, in the stage also here, he's also sharing a lot of things about CI/CD pipelines. But we have customers. One customer is on that stack. Another customer is on that stack. Making one solution fits all, that doesn't work. But if you look on all the blog posts and all the information, wow. If I look on some of the blog posts that are out there, awesome. Like people understand it, but there is also a route to containers. Like having a Windows machine and opening Visual Studio and start developing, that is something that works, right? But then you go to somebody else, you are building the team. Then the developer goes to the new guy. You need to set up all your dependencies and all the tools and blah, 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 and then things fails. Then somebody is doing an update of another thing, and it's like setting up developers' PCs that somebody is up to date. I think if I say roughly that if you get a new team member, new laptop, it probably take days to get them up to speed on your team, right? And everybody is struggling with that, right? It's like, and why? And you can solve that, right? There are solutions for that. Are you happy? Who is happy? No? Not happy? It's like, at Sitecore, we want to have happy developers and happy customers, right? And that is, I think, a key what we solving. We did not do very well, in my opinion, right? I step out my zone now here, but I think, but we are doing it better and better and better and better. And I think one of the good news is also like, and Dave was also saying that, and let's show everybody what we're doing, what we are building. Get the feedback in, and that we can make you happy, right? That is, I think, so important to do. Because if we don't do that, yeah, then you will say, okay, we will go, right? It's like there are other solutions. For example, one of our acquisitions, right? OrderCloud, already mentioned a few times here in some presentations. It's like API reference, right? It's like if you were in the call with, or in the meeting with Ivan about all the APIs that we have. That's why I asked, right? Are we going to normalize this kind of things, right? Yes, that is also somewhere that we want to normalize, because like going to all the different kinds of pages, where can you find the documentation, authentication on that API is like that, and that it's like we want to solve things, right? We need to solve this, right? Because that is the experience that you as developer, you want to have the developer experience, right? API first. This is the thing that everybody is talking about, right? Thus, for example, we are building XMCloud. We are doing it API first, right? It's like we are building APIs because we do exactly the same thing now in our development, right? We want to do API first because that is the way how you want to act with it, right? That is so important to do API first. Okay, let's get started. My presentation was like developer experience with Ranger desktop, right? And what is Ranger? Or Ranger, how do you pronounce it? I'm talking to the guys regularly, but in the landscape of the developer experience, but like a lot of things are happening at the moment, right? Thus, if you look on my stack at the moment, probably my stack will change maybe in a few weeks or a few months, because things are moving rapidly currently on the container side. Ranger is doing a very good job. They want to catch up. Dus there is a Ranger desktop. Ranger desktop is a local Kubernetes on K3s, and you can run your local Kubernetes on your machine. It works on Linux, it works on Windows and it works on Mac, right? Just having a lightweighted Kubernetes version on your machine, that works great. There is also another product, there is a full-blown Kubernetes version also from Ranger, right? Like we have AKS, we have Google, we have multiple things, right? Running this also locally is something that is easy. You can, currently, I'm doing it in a way that I'm using a vacant setup, but things will change there also on Ranger side, right? They are working hard to get that experience, that Linux, Windows experience, parallel to it, right? And that is something that is there. Just like looking on this one, Kubernetes locally on your machine. And cross-platform, right? It runs on Mac, Windows, etc., etc. What is it? Inside Ranger Desktop. Dus it's like you have your CLIs again, it's API first, you have your K3s, you have your containerd, etc., etc. NerdCTL, for example, that is also something that now you can run Windows containers, right? There's also support for Windows containers now in NerdCTL. Looking on the setup, what I have on my machine, this is my setup locally, right? And in combination of this, I run my stuff locally. Build and deploy. What is also interesting, and I did see a lot of Vercel solutions this week, or like yesterday and today, opening Visual Studio. And then the funny part, nobody is using dev containers. Who knows about dev containers? Raise your hand. Okay, I see 3, 4. Nobody knows about dev containers. I'm that container guy. I run everything inside the container. Everything. And it's from which CLI I'm using, I'm running it in the dev container. And I will explain you why. You open Visual Studio. Easy. You install that plugin, remote dev containers. And then at that moment, it's pointing to WSL. Dus that's also a very great experience, right? But you're opening Visual Studio Code. And then you have show all definitions. And there are many. It's like from .NET to functions, Azure functions, to all kinds of things, right? It's like they are out of the box there. Just I'm selecting the .NET version here. And then at that moment, if I select that, at that moment I select the version that I want. The next question is, what kind of node version do you want to have in your dev container? I select the LTS version. And then I can select also some tooling. Does this ring a bell somewhere? Because if I'm going to commit this configuration of dev container into my Git repository, that's how it works, and the next developer is going to check this out, he gets exactly the same setup, right? It's like equal, because you are not installing it locally on your machine, globally, but you are doing it in the dev container. Thus, if you select another option, a very nice one, and more options will come here, I'm selecting at this moment reuse the Docker engine, Docker from Docker. Interesting. And you see it's either you can install more tools into that dev container. Thus, if you want to work with, now you take one of the examples, AWS CLI, the other developer is opening that dev container, whoop, you have directly that AWS CLI in your container, and you don't need to install, you're doing that command, doesn't work. No, you have already that command installed, right? Then at that moment, you see in the left corner, you see that the dev container is there, and you're in the container. This is not a Windows container. This is a Linux container, right? Dus it's not heavy, it's small, and it works, right? Dus at that moment, I do .NET New console, nice. And then you see the program, the .file is installed there, blah, blah, blah. And then I do .NET run. Hello world, works. Nice. If I do the same, exactly the same thing, I open it on the other machine, you don't need to have all the dependencies installed, right? If you make a Docker file, and you say, okay, from SDK, work folder, I copy everything in, and then I'm going to do .NET restore. And then if I do the same thing, right, if I do docker run -it, then first of all, I build that Docker file on the first line, docker build, inside my in my dev container, right, I'm building that container. And then at the moment I run that container inside the container to execute that one. Because I selected that option like Docker in Docker, but use the parent host, right? This Docker is running side by side by the other one, right? Very nice, right? Easy. Okay. Now the interesting part. Because I didn't see it, I was checking this on, like yesterday and today, and nobody is doing it. We are going into the headless world, right? We are going to build headless solutions, right? And as you know, Node you have some dependencies on packages, etc., etc. And it's like a lot of things you can install globally. Who is installing packages globally on Node? Okay. But you select Node, and now I select a few more tools, right? I also do Docker, like the Docker from Docker. I'm installing the .NET CLI, Git, kubectl, because I want to have these tools available in my dev container, right? You can also add your own templates. You can add your own flavors that you want to have inside. There are examples to extend this. It's also open source, so you can also commit it to it. Like if you have a good idea to put some, I was like, let's do also one with a product that we are going to release, right? XMCloud. Okay, dus I'm in that Node container and going to do a few commands, right? Express, blah, blah, blah. And then at that moment, my front end is running, right? Inside that container. So I think that is very easy to use, right? That's so simplified. And no hassle when the developer is coming on board or you want to share the project with somebody else, you can start, right? Okay, this is that dev container JSON. And there is like, what you can see on the bottom, you see the features that I'm installing in the dev container. Git, Azure CLI, PowerShell, that are modules that are available. You can extend it, right? There's also a link. On the top of that, I did remove a few lines from this because I want to put it on one screen. There are many things that if you want to port forward, etc., etc. I also changed in my Linux container. I also installing PowerShell, as you can see on the last line, on line 42. And I changed the default container one to PowerShell, to using PowerShell, right? I love Bash, but that's me. But you can do PowerShell inside Linux, right? It's like also like the same experience that you have with your PowerShell, only like the directories are different, right? But in general, all the commands that you're doing, get children, whatever, everything you're doing that, it's like you can use that, right? Okay. How does my current setup look like at the moment? Dus I have Visual Studio Code. I have my Windows terminal using Visual Studio Code. I'm using GitHub. I have my Ranger vagrant file up running in Windows mode. Then I have my Linux ones on the desktop, and then also Docker is also still there, right? And then if I'm going to build a solution, I use GitHub Actions to build it, make a package, and then I'm going to run the packages where I want to have it, right? And then this one is pooling the images, right? Just the images. And then if I'm all tested out, I can also push to XMCloud, right? If you look on I will share the repository. It's now at private, but I will open the repository after this talk. You will not see a lot of things of XMCloud. I have also some scripts in that one because we are not yet released, right? But when that will be released, I will update it. And we are also going to work on samples to have this experience for you, right? Building your Windows image, right? If you look on XMCloud, it's a XM instance, right? It's like I'm building that on GitHub Actions, right? So if you see here my pipeline in GitHub Actions, you can see that I'm building, I'm logging in, and I'm doing a Docker Compose, and I'm building that solution, right? And then I'm pushing the images to the GitHub package registry. So what I'm doing, I am building the images there inside. You can also use Azure DevOps, right? It's like the same thing, pushing to ACR. But the nice thing about GitHub now, you can build your Windows containers inside GitHub, right? And you push them to the package registry, the GitHub package registry, and then you have the images there. If you have that dev container locally, and you have that configuration file open, or you have saved that also to your GitHub repository, there is something called code spaces on GitHub. Code spaces gives you the same experience in your browser, opening the dev container, and you see exactly the same thing. Dus if you opening this one on code spaces, then you have also all your commands, all the stuff, all the modules, everything is installed, right? And you can streamly work online. Very cool feature. Open source, it's easy, right? So it's like if you have open source project, this is free, right? If you have private projects, then there's a tier for that, right? So you need to, if you want to use this feature for your company, you need to pay for this, right? I think the prices are right, but yeah, it's maybe a new stack for your company, and that's up to your company to choose, right? Okay, let's go on. How much minutes do we still have? 25. Okay. What is XMCloud? I'm going to repeat a little bit. Andy is in the front of the room. He was like taking my like explaining XMCloud on stage. Also some note here. I'm not doing a 100% real demo because I had some demo experience in the past on locations. If maybe this event was in Amsterdam, I had maybe better feeling about the internet connection. It still feels good at the moment, but I want to be safe because I want to tell my story, right? So what is XMCloud? I think these are the slides from Andy. It's like out of the box Edge, SXA revamped, Atlas services, managing services, JSS, layout services, GraphQL, etc., etc. This is like basically what it is. And probably this slide will change, and we will make some changes there. And also in further releases, we will add things, right, in this one. What did we remove? A lot. And all kinds of goodies that people are not using, or maybe temporarily like not using. I think we can still remove more. XLT, maybe? It's like we can remove more, I think. What I also want to mention, and that's I think very important to say, this XMCloud and doing XM on containers, etc., etc. The current Sitecore container images are still based from Windows Server version LTS 2019. It's like the version like a long time ago. Windows or Microsoft did release the new Windows Server Core 2022. I think in the upcoming weeks, AKS will also support 2022, right? Why I'm so excited about that one? It's like the images are 60% smaller than the existing images. Dus we go down in the image size. And Microsoft is at the moment working hard to get it down, down, down. They want to give you on Windows containers the same experience as on Linux containers, right? That is their vision. Luckily, we at Sitecore, we are a big partner we have a very good relation with Microsoft, so we have a lot of insights. There is like the messaging a lot of times is in the world like Windows containers sucks, right? They are big and blah 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 blah. But in your enterprise landscape, what you're building, there are services that needs Windows containers, right? There are functionality that is only supported on Windows, right? Just like if you talk to your backend service, or like there are functionality that only runs on Windows, right? On XMCloud, it was a sidestep, by the way, on the container side. We are reworking on forms, what Andy al said, removing the web database. Why do we need to have a web database? And that will continue, right? So what is XMCloud deploy? I think from the keynote from Andy, it's like, and also from the slide from the beginning, setting up environments, spending tons of hours to setting them up, infrastructure, etc., etc. We take that away for you, right? It's like we want to have that developer experience, right? We want to have that great web experience, right? And that's, I think, very important. Why do you spend a lot of time in doing something that the customer will not see? Yeah, they want to have regular updates, right? They want to go to market very fast. If tomorrow is something that you need to do on because a competitor did do something, you want to go fast, right? It's like you want to go fast. Thus, in general, what is XMCloud? It is that Sitecore XM, Experience Edge. This is a one-on-one copy from our website, but general, XMCloud is Sitecore XM. Stripped, only the things what you need for headless, Experience Edge, and we also do the personalization part, right? Okay, I can do a live demo, but Andy did say, do you have a backup? Yes, I have a backup. I have screenshots. Thus, I am in that dev container, right? I'm in that dev container, and then I'm there on the prompt. I'm in PowerShell, right? Because I had that dev container set up with dev, etc. Okay, what do I need? I need to have like our CLI to talk to XMCloud, right? Oh, oops, I did mention something because I love real examples. Maybe Andy a little bit less, because I already found an issue when taking this repository. This is a very nice repository from Pair to do like very lightweighted solution for your only XM only and want to do Atlas development. Check it out. I took this one because I can make my own demo, but somebody did do something, and then like I'm going to try that out, right? And now I can talk to Pair and say, hey, maybe you need to change this for XMCloud, or maybe blah blah blah, and dus I have like a PowerShell script, dus I'm installing from our internal NuGet feeds. I'm going to install the CLI. At this moment here, I'm doing the Sitecore CLI. I'm checking the serialization function inside our CLI. That's probably your guys are already using that one. Like just checking your items in your local folder there on the item folders. I'm doing Sitecore and then SUR, and I do info and check, oh, these are my items, right? And I think Pair will recognize all the items, right? Dus that's what I'm doing, right? Then at that moment, I'm going to log in to XMCloud, to the portal. Authentication is happening on organization level. Just like if you are a partner or you have an organization or a client, and you have like customer ABC, you have organization ABC. And then at that moment, I'm signing in and then my command is coming back, right? Then there's a placeholder on that. You can create projects on your organization. And as you can see, I created here a project called SUGCON AUBAP, right? I created that one. I'm listing that out. We're also thinking about you guys. Just this, what you can see, there is like -- JSON. If you remove that, it's not JSON. It's easy because if you run this command on your CLI or something that you want to do, you can parse this again in a PowerShell script, and you can grab it out, you can select. It's like easy to interact with it, right? If you remove the JSON, you will get the normal output, right? It's handy. Also on this kind of topics, we want to have your feedback. What are you missing? What do you need in this development phase, right? Going to create an environment, dev5, project ID, and grab that there. And then the project the environment is created. And then at that moment, I'm going to, I'm listed out first here. Dus I do a review, like I'm checking if everything is fine. Also, like I'm listing it out as JSON. Okay, give me the list of environments based on that project ID. And I take the first one, right? On the JQ filter, right? I had many, but let me show the first. Okay, then at that point, I'm going to start a deployment on that environment, and there is the flag -- upload, and that will look at the Sitecore JSON. I don't have a screenshot of that, but I can show that in the solution, where the definition of this project is stored, right? But it will take the solution file. It's going to loop over the synced items. In this process, the items that are also sent to the server, they are packed. Static resources will be created. I had a discussion this morning with Andy about the item solution that should be holding templates, like the basic stuff, right? It's like, and content is a different story, right? Because content is created by the content editors, right? And not by your developers, right? You see, make sure that you do the right serialization, right? Upload it. No. Upload, development starts. I was checking last night because, like, we have the goal to when we start with XMCloud, we want to deploy below 5 minutes, right? That's our, and with the new version of 2022, we will beat that. But I have deployments from 3 minutes 30 until 4 minutes. But when the deployment is start, you have interaction with what's going on, what's happening, and you can follow your deployment. And this is also the portal. So we first started with the CLI API first, and now around the API, like we also building a portal, right, where you can see and watch back what you did, etc., etc. Deployment is, this one was also not below 5 minutes. It was, I was okay. Do I need to change the number? No, but I want to be honest. But normally it's like we're working hard on that one, right? To improve that. Then you have the URL that you can go to, and then there's the lady. And the first feedback I had, we need to change the lady because we need to have like an XM lady. Yeah. I think that was a very good feedback. I like that. I've seen this lady so many times. I think she is not happy anymore. I think we need to change her. Just let's talk to marketing and let's have a new lady on it, or like something else, because I think no. Then I go in, and because I did do the -- upload, the items there already then here on the keynote from Andy. Andy did do first a vanilla deployment, and then he did a second deployment. The deployment did finish, but the only thing, there was no webhook coming back. So that was a small bug. But the items there, right? In this demo, you see that I have already created a few other items. But now, let's go to the instance. I have more slides, but I can also go here. Dus if I go to the solution, as you see that I'm here in the dev container, right? And then I can against that environment, it's like I can do the .NET command and there are no changes, right? There are no changes at all. There are 36 items serialized. How does that work? If I go into the Sitecore JSON, you see here like modules, and it's like you're listing out things here, right? What you want to do, right? You are listing a pattern here, how you want to see, what kind of items do you want to serialize, etc., etc. And there are more items, like more things, but it will pick up the solution. So if I go to the instance now, if I go to the instance here, and I'm here, just for example, I'm going to, I probably need to log out. I'm going to here, and let's create a new page. Come on. And I say, okay, hello. And I say SUGCON real, right? I'm going to put this here. I'm going to say hello. I'm going to save this item. And now I'm going back to my dev container. And I'm going to do a pull of the images, right? One of the things that is also like, I tell you right away, I need to scope here the environment, right? You see the -n with the environment. Like Kubernetes, the kube control command, you can set a scope, right? You're working on this something. That's something that I really like to have also, because it's so easy if you to make a mistake, right? That's now I'm going to do a pull, and then you can see that hello SUGCON real. Dus if I'm going to hello SUGCON real, my items here on my machine, right? I'm talking to that environment XMCloud, right? That's there, right? I can handle that, right? And going to the title, I can say hello, hello Andy. And then I'm going to do a push. And now I'm going to push that item to that environment. And then the item is pushed, the change is there. We should update this item, Andy. Just like if that is selected, we should like update it. Now I need to switch over, and then I need to go here. And then there is hello Andy there, right? So I have interaction with my XMCloud instance, right? That's how we want to work with you to give that developer experience and make things nice for you, and that you can work with it, right? And that is, I think, the thing that is like very important. Thus, I do the same here in the presentation. I update one. Here I'm doing the serialization, right? What I'm showing in a real demo a few seconds ago. And then that was my talk in general to cover this. Thus, I'm open for questions. So I hope that you liked it. And
any questions?
Thanks, Bart. So how does Rancher fit into this picture when developing for
XMCloud? I was trying to not that I did already know that you will ask this question. Thus what I do, I put in my solution, I have a Vagrant file here, right? And I'm spinning up. There's like I have this in my machine also, and then I'm spinning this up, right? You can do it in two ways. You can have like your Vagrant setup on your machine, and then you're working with all your environments to that one. What I did do here, I give you a Vagrant file that you can also open this one. You can start it up, and then and it works, right? The funny, there's like working with this is like committed like a few days ago, because there was like first there was a Vagrant file with a lot of code in it. They also created now a module, right? It's more cleaner. we had some issues with mountings, etc., etc. The mounting issue is also gone. There is also, there are multiple ways to, but like the idea is you spin this up, and then you can talk, and you can deploy to this vagrant file, and then you're running your log. Maybe that's to clarify. It's like the building. This is what I said. I do everything in containers, right? Dus I also build my image inside that local machine, right? I'm not building it on my machine. I'm building that. I start that build process in that Ranger one.
Do you ever build the base image locally for XMCloud?
Yes, I think so. Do I have that one? I think I wiped it. No, I don't have it now. No. But that's just like, just if you look on my file here, let me show you that. I can show you that. Dus if you look on my environment file here, dus I'm pointing to my registry here, right? Dus I'm pointing to that where the images are built, right? I'm looking here on my, the version is there. It's like that was coming from Pair, right? It's like, I have my latest images there. There's like on the GitHub repository, what you show, what is here, like the images are here. You can see here that the images are here. So I can pull them into the Ranger one. I will make sure that all the steps are also in the README file when I open this one, right? So that you see also that experience. Other questions?
You had your slide where you showed your local setup with the different icons.
Yeah.
It looked like you were running both Rancher Desktop and, was it RKE?
Yes. So if you look here, go back here. Where was it? This one, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Kijk, if you look on this picture and you know a little bit the context from Docker desktop, right? You know you need to switch context, right? And you need to switch if you want to switch to Linux and Windows, etc., etc. You can understand that like Ranger is also very busy with something, right? It's like this this picture will probably look for me in a few months differently, right? Then the Windows part is also Ranger Desktop, right? So that is basically what's happening there. They didn't give me a date, but there are so many dependencies that like on a lot of modules and like open source things. Dus that's basically.
So you're doing it just so you can run Linux and Windows nodes at the same time, or containers at the same time.
Dus what you also can do, to be clarified, is like, dus I put in here also the Ranger Desktop. You don't need here the Ranger Desktop because this RKA is also having has Windows and Linux, right? Dus you can also only go to this mode, right? It's like you can also take this route here, and that's also in the vagrant file at the moment that I have. Dus what you will see on this vagrant file, you will see here, you see here a Windows nodes, you see a Linux agent, and you see also a Windows agent, right? Dus there are two things, right? And dus when I do something on the execution of the Windows one, I use RKA, right? But I want to also maybe to clarify, and that if you have that one that was here, dus if you have that this one, you're in a container. That's also making your application. You can easily deploy this to the Ranger Desktop, right? Because it's a node application. You can run it. You can try it out. I didn't mention that in the talk, but like, please test your stuff inside the containers, right? And also now working with this node solution inside the dev container, it has exactly the same behavior if you run it on Vercel or whatever, because yeah, it's like isolated, it's like everything is there, and that's I think the message.